It's time for another segment of Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, saving seniors from high cost of healthcare, debunking Medicare, making Medicare easy to understand for all seniors. All guests of any of our Medicare segments receive the free ebook written by yourmedicarelady.com.
Thank you, Tony Raimondo, for providing our intro and outro for Real Medicare Man and yourmedicarelady.com and helping us get the word out to help our seniors. But it's not all seniors, by the way, because you'll learn in today's episode, which is from chapter 2 in this amazing book all about Medicare. You heard the title of it from the previous lessons, but if you're coming across it and this is the only lesson you'll hear, every lesson you get a little nugget because we do talk about some most commonly asked questions at the end of every lesson, as well as some real people testimonials, recommendations about these particular Medicare experts. I'm Paul Finkelstein. I'm here to help you with everything Medicare, hashtag everything you were afraid to ask about Medicare. You're in the right place, right time. Sit back, take some notes. And the bonus, just for being here today, you will get a free book that's on Amazon. And the book is titled Straight to the Point, Finally an Easy Medicare Education for Boomers and Seniors, the conclusive, clear, and complete guide. Make no mistake about it. The roadmap to Medicare is now here, brought to you by Sarah Finkelstein, yourmedicarelady.com. Thank you so much for being here today. You could also get her book. You'll see it on the scrolling bar down below. Easy button for Medicare.com. When it scrolls back around, you will see it. Easy button for Medicare.com. And that's how you get the free PDF of her book. Let's dive in and talk to you about chapter 2 of 16 different chapters about Medicare. Chapter 2 is in the beginning of the book, so it's a very easy chapter to talk about and maybe of interest for somebody to know, where did Medicare actually come from? In the very beginning, what's the history of Medicare? How did it come to being? In a nutshell, on July 30, 1965, no pun intended or anything like that, the fact that it mainly deals with 65-year-olds celebrating a big milestone birthday, precisely 11,000 65-year-olds that are turning 65 every single day. I think that adds up to about 4 million every year turning 65. But on July 30, 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson made Medicare law by signing H.R. 6675 in Independence, Missouri. So that is the very beginning of Medicare. Former President Truman was issued the very first Medicare card during his ceremony. I'm sorry I don't have on the screen where I could flash what that first card looked like. I'm sure it went through several transitions along the way, but you know that the current Medicare card is probably red, white, and blue. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. Because it's the colors of the Medicare card. President Richard M. Nixon, he signed into law the first major change to Medicare. What's that? Well, not everybody that's 65 has Medicare. Under 65 has Medicare with some limitations or qualifications. The legislation expanded coverage to include individuals under 65 with long-term disabilities and individuals with end-stage renal disease. And that, my friend, is the history of Medicare, brought to you by realmedicareman.com and yourmedicarelady.com. Sarah and Paul, we are husband and wife. You could always reach us for any Medicare expertise at 561-302-5760. That's 561-302-5760. And now at this portion of our event today, we will talk about some most common questions about Medicare. We always get these questions at every single workshop, phone call, email. Everybody has the same one. Why wouldn't they have the same questions? We should just have one sheet of paper, put the 15 or so questions that are the most common, and then we could just sign people up and enroll them teach them about the different parts of Medicare and what their options are, what their solutions are for everybody's particular situation. But of course, there are additional questions that everybody's different in their learning. Some learn faster than others. Some, don't want to learn all the stuff. They just want an agent to enroll them with trusting their expertise. And other people do want to learn a little bit about it so that they know the nuts and bolts, the 30,000-foot view down all the general guidelines about all the different moving parts to Medicare. So here's a couple of questions to whet your appetite and learning about Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, Paul and Sarah Finkelstein, or realmedicareman.com and yourmedicarelady.com. And you can always reach us at 561-302-5760 and download the book you see down below at easybuttonformedicare.com, a free PDF of the book that's on Amazon. And thank you so much for listening. Here are commonly asked questions. What if I am still working beyond 65? Do I need to go on Medicare? I'm taking this right out of her book so you can see and be familiar with it as well when you download the book for yourself as well. And you'll see it and go, hey, I recognize that question. And that is a concern of mine or you when you're listening to this podcast or lesson of 1,000 videos that we'll be making for you. So that depends on the size of your employer. The employer has less than 20 employees, then typically, yes, you better go on to Medicare. But there are certain situations that, depending upon what your health plan is at work, whether that's more advantageous, that maybe going on Medicare might be less expensive for you. Certain circumstances, it could be more, it could be less. It all depends on what you have now, and let's compare it apples to apples. If the employer has more than 20 employees, then you could stay on your group health insurance. Is probably the buzzword in Medicare language is credible coverage. And what is that? You could always get some more details about that by talking to Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, specifically. Talk to my wife, and that's 561-302-5760. She's standing by right now to take your call. Here's another question for you of the multitude of most commonly asked questions about Medicare. I haven't worked the minimum of 10 years in the United States. Can I still qualify for Medicare? And the answer is you can't qualify for Medicare through your spouse if your spouse has worked 10 years or more. I hope that does whet your whistle and appetite. I do want you to get another flavor, and that is to hear from real people and real recommendations about Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, and especially yourmedicarelady.com. And I want you to hear what they're talking about my wife, because I could tell you all great things about my wife because I'm married to her. But don't you want to hear what other people are saying about her? These are her happy client testimonials. And we've been together for over 25 years. So if she tolerates me and you tolerate her, and we could all get along together and help each other year by year when it comes to open enrollment period for those people on the Part C Medicare Advantage plan, you'll be in regular contact with Sarah to make sure that she can save you some money. There are plans out there that are being terminated, Medicare Advantage plans. And if you're concerned about that, you'll want to definitely give Sarah a jingle at 561-302-5760. But here are two individuals, a couple, Joe and Marion Clemente. They gave us this happy client testimonial, and they start off by saying 3 thank yous. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you for your help with understanding and choosing our supplementary medical insurance. We've been very nervous about retirement and what it takes to feel secure about health coverage and getting our medications. But you made us feel safe and secure about our choices. Thank you again for your patience and time. So patience and time and bedside manners in any profession, I think, goes hand in hand with choosing a professional. Thank you so much, Joe and Marion Clemente, for your kind words about my wife. Another person here, a couple, Luz and Carlos Vasquez. They said, quote, I would just take a moment and thank you for your services that you provided my wife and I. you were helpful, responsive in answering our questions about Medicare. It will be our pleasure to refer you. You are good at what you do in listening and caring. And they say thank you. So thank you, Luz and Carlos Vasquez. Here is the book that is also on Amazon. And also, you can download the book right down below at easybuttonformedicare.com. That's easybuttonformedicare.com. And now you have listened to the 6 or so installments, 6 videos, 6 video lessons, 5 10-minute nuggets, all about Medicare. Hashtag everything you were afraid to ask about Medicare. I'm Paul Finkelstein. I'm Mr. Medicare, or realmedicareman.com. And you can find my wife. She's better looking than me at yourmedicarelady.com. And Tony Raimondo, he has the last word. He provides the intro and outros for our podcast. Take it away, Tony.
It's time for another segment of Mr. and Mrs. Medicare, saving seniors from high cost of healthcare, debunking Medicare, making Medicare easy to understand for all seniors. All guests of any of our Medicare segments receive the free ebook written by yourmedicarelady.com.
And look up Tony Raimondo on the Business Network Alignable if you're a business owner and you need a voiceover for your podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode all about Medicare.